Hello.
Hey, man. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me all
Welcome.
right?
Yep. Can hear you loud and clear.
All right, sweet. I'm in a 12-hour van ride from Phuket to Bangkok. Most people would say, why wouldn't you just fly? Well, we're bringing our dog with us, so gotta take the van. But yeah, anyway, I just lost a pair of headphones 2 seconds ago, which is super strange. Anyway, let's get into it.
That was going to be my first question: is why would you take a van from Phuket to Bangkok? But that explains it.
It makes no sense. At least it's in Thailand, Southeast Asia, they have a van called the Toyota Alphard, and it's like the equivalent of the the luxury ride of Southeast Asia. But it's super nice. These seats are like business class, fully reclined, so it's not so bad. Actually, I've been literally.
I'll tell you what, man. I rode quite a few buses in Thailand, and they do it better than us in the U.S. I have no idea why we haven't caught up to them yet, but those reclining seats are a game changer.
Yeah. This is a nice little private one too. It's just like a van, It's so it literally feels like business seat kind of cabins. It's really nice. But anyway,
right on. Yeah, let's get into it. Good afternoon or good morning, Whale Coin Talk community. Good evening, wherever you are. I got Kyle Chase in the house today. He's promoting the Commonwealth NFT project. And Kyle, I'm going to let you have the mic here and just kind of explain to us what this NFT project is and all the good things that's coming with it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'm just here to tell folks about what I can, because I've been watching this team and helping them out since pretty much the first day, which was about a year ago, and yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And we decided, that the way that we would go to market would be doing this very first, because when we come out of stealth mode, we want to have a product ready, not just kind of have this big excitement kind of thing and then just kind of let that phase out. So we decided this first kind of mint would be kind of for more diehard people that kind of trust me and think that maybe I'm doing something quite interesting. and in exchange for that, this mint is actually discounted per each NFT compared to the one that will happen in between 2 and 4 months from now. Not exactly sure. I think four months is the worst case, but so this is kind of like a way to bootstrap the project. We've there's been about 10 people involved, not all full time. There's been about 3 people full time, and the rest probably somewhere between 5 to 10 hours a week, usually coming together for brainstorming on economics and architecture and things like that. But it's a really brilliant team. You've got guys on there from Demonware, Activision, Blizzard, Intel, Google, Facebook, and then guys that have been in the crypto space forever, like myself, who have a wealth of knowledge. And essentially, what I can say is kind of maybe talk about some of the problems that exist in the space, and not just the space, actually have existed forever in the whole investing game. I think Robinhood was disruptive in a way that it gave an easy way for the retail to access the secondary market. But it's still, even then, it's only the secondary market. It's not the primary market. It's not the same kind of quality or the same opportunities that your VCs, and accredited investors have opportunity to get into. And that's always kind of confused me about, why is it illegal for someone who doesn't have $1 million net worth or making $200,000 a year? Why is it illegal for them to, spend or invest some of their disposable income into companies that they think are going to do well? And the regulators will tell you that this is for their own protection. You know, I just think that's nonsense. I mean, to some degree, I guess, but like, you also have to let people be adults about it. And when it's their money to spend on something, I think that they should be able to free to do it. They can go to Vegas and gamble at a casino where they're highly likely to lose their money. And if you invest into an early stage company, I think you're much less likely to lose your money. And if you also look at the markets where they are today, and you look at the VCs who got into some of these projects that are now down between 50 to 80% of the all-time high, I guarantee you the early investors, the VCs, they're probably not down at all. In fact, they're probably still up a couple 100% from their investments. Worst case, they're usually, maybe worst case, maybe down, 20, 30%, but certainly not 70 to 90%. And more often than not, they're still up because they're getting into these projects, multiple X's below the first opportunity that retail normally gets access to them. So, if you kind of know a bit about me, I'm a hardcore, DeFi maxi and crypto and blockchain and decentralized maxi. Like I love these core tenets of blockchain and permissionless, censorship resistant, borderless, decentralized. These things are core tenets within Commonwealth, and from day one, and I think that's important to say. So, as it says on the Mint page, and if you guys haven't gone there, feel free to go check it out. This is essentially the genesis of access. And I think that's important to kind of enunciate that, because that's essentially what this is. I mean, that is the underlying. Now, how we go about that, that's kind of some interesting secret sauce. In fact, I don't know if any of you guys heard Mario's roundtable yesterday that I was on, but they had this sponsor on, which was like this, this VCX or whatever. And I think that they're missing a lot of aspects. I think that their architecture, engineering, is completely 1,000,000% different. Now, I can tell you some more things that are issues with the space that I can identify. So oftentimes people have no idea how to design circular closed loop token economies. Meaning what they typically do is they typically come create some type of centralized for-profit company, and then they just kind of throw a token in there for some reason, and it doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. They'll tell you it does something, usually like let's say you can stake it and there's governance or something like that, but the system would work actually just fine without the token in most cases. And also in most cases, the centralized entity usually ends up siphoning value out of the ecosystem back into their pockets. Now, this is a broken token economy model. So I guess you could look at something like, Sequoia and, Andreessen Horowitz, and how much money they bring in. And then imagine that was redistributed. So Mark Andreessen and I forget the guy's name, right? Horowitz. Imagine that they just didn't get to keep any of that, or maybe and they only had tokens just like everybody else, and all the value went back into the token ecosystem. That would be a pretty impressive thing. And I also called this out yesterday on Mario's show when some guy told us about his centralized gaming platform thing that raised like $40 million. So what I'm trying to say is that, I've been obsessed with adoption, right? And we all kind of want to know what is going to be the killer app that brings in the tens of millions of people or the billions of people into the space. A lot of people think that's going to be a video game. and it might be. But I do know one thing for sure. I do know that something that every single person on this planet probably wants. They want an opportunity to have the upside in the crypto market with mitigating or minimizing their risk to the downside. I think every single person wants that. Probably in the world. Like, probably in the world. And if there was a way that the system was designed in order to really minimize risk, and that would be incredibly powerful. There's all kinds of fancy things built within the protocol and ecosystem. There's creative things built in, like the ability for Susie housewife to come and use the protocol and not even ever interact with the token and still add value to the token ecosystem, which is incredible. I've never seen another really token ecosystem do something like this. Well, that's not true. Like GMX and things like that do that too. But there's also ways that people with very limited amount of money can come in and trade their time in exchange for value, and then later have that value accrue over more things that evolve in the ecosystem. So literally somebody has the ability to come in with basically nothing, commit some time, and maybe we see people with kind of making a living or making full-time jobs out of this thing, or being very successful. So I don't want to say, I mean, I've already said a ton of stuff. Like, this should give you guys some idea of basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
go ahead, Kyle.
I was just
Oh
gonna
no,
say,
I mean, I have a bunch of questions based on
Yeah.
everything that you've said so far, but I do want you to finish. I want you to get all your thoughts out there before I start to kind of go in.
Yeah. Let me just finish. Let me just kind of bring a little bit of attention to the NFT. So the NFTs, they're in this initial mint. There's 2,000 to mint. I think there's almost 300 that have minted right now, as of from the past 24 hours or whatever. And they're $500 each. And essentially, what this is doing is, where the project is at a stage where it needs to scale now, which means we need to continue to build up the team and developers, and so it needs a capital injection. And so at this point, this is Commonwealth's asked to the community, saying, guys, can we essentially have some of your capital now, and we're giving you this NFT that has different use cases within the ecosystem. There's no VC, no capital, no VC money whatsoever in this project. 0 VCs involved. And the only way to get access to this token essentially is either this NFT and maybe some type of initial liquidity offering at right before the launch. But regardless, this is going to be the best value what you see today. And then it's also like getting essentially equity in a way with rev share, because some of a percentage of the DAO revenue will go to the NFT holders, and that's I'll leave it at that.
Okay, awesome. So I guess my first question is, you said that there's another mint happening 1 to 4 months from now. That those NFTs are going to be more expensive. Are they essentially the same NFTs that we're seeing minted today, or is there going to be a difference?
Yeah, they will have they will all have like the same. The NFTs that are minted in 2 to 4 months from now will be of the exact same series as the ones that are out there today. We haven't decided yet if there's going to be different rarities involved or not in them, and we're playing with some gamification in them as well, and how that might look like. But yes, essentially, if you mint one today or in 2 or 4 months from now, they will be from the same series. The only difference is how much it will cost, but you will get the same benefits from the one today or the one in then. And and the difference is that we will come out of stealth mode right before that mint, and so people will know what they're buying in depth. And I think that's important to notice, because there's a reason why there's limited information today, and really just trying to give it to the community. and it's a bit of an aspect of like they think this is something that might be interesting, and then in 2 or 4 months we will come out of stealth mode, have a huge marketing campaign to tell everyone exactly what this is and how it works, and then they will have an opportunity to go buy another. I forget, it's like a 6,000 NFTs. Yeah, I think 6,000 NFTs at that mint.
You mentioned that there are 3 people currently working full time on the project. Without revealing too much, what exactly are they doing?
Well, that's not to mention the developers. So those are 3 on the commercial side, and one of them is basically like CTO, CEO, overseeing everything on the execution side, managing the developers. Uh, and then it's actually there's more than that too, because we hired an agency to help with the branding and identity. So there's actually more than that. But the core people that are there are essentially uh, making sure that all the law. It's a really complex system from the how it's going to be engineered, and because there's a lot of really cool things about it, and a lot of moving parts. And so there's I think there's a the paper that we have, which is kind of like an economy paper and an architecture paper. uh it's about 50 pages long right now, and that just an incredible amount of thought to go into this, and how everything works together in a way that no one has ever seen anything like this before.
You mentioned that there's some folks with pretty impressive resumes. Are they part of the full time staff, or are they the ones that are brainstorming on economics?
Yeah, so one is leading the whole thing, and he has a very very impressive background of and when we come out of stealth mode, you'll see it's incredibly impressive. And then the other one is has recently started part time, and I believe is very interested in coming on board full time after we do the raise for it. So um, yeah, that's
Go,
that.
got it. Is there a reason that you guys are in stealth mode? Like, why not just release all the utility and all the incentives? And I mean, I kind of know the answer, but I would love to hear it from your own words.
Uh, well, because I think that in a bear market, um, having a community is a lot of noise and distraction, and like I don't want people in a Telegram chat or Discord saying like when mint and when moon and blah 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 and what is this and why is it taking longer than it should be. We never really know how these things are going to play out, and we got to test the hell out of this thing. It's a DeFi protocol essentially. Expect to be a lot of value flowing through this thing, which means that there's going to have to be tons of security audits and bug bounty programs and things like that. And I'd rather just at some point there'll be like incentivized bounty programs and things like that. But the real reason is simply because we just because also it's proprietary and it will be open source. So I do think that once this launches and people see what we do, they will copy pasta the code and try to launch their own. And so we want to keep this as close to us as possible, until essentially right before the launch. The second NFT mint will be uh, very close to the actual product launch. I'm talking days. So, we really won't know. People won't really know exactly the details of this thing until it's basically ready for go time.
You made a really great point that I talk about often. You said that, what is it? Often, or let's say, people in this space. Sorry about that. I kind of lost my track of thinking there. Um, Oftentimes people have no idea how to design circular closed looped economies, and they
Yeah.
attach tokens to projects that don't make sense. And I said this so many times. There are so many protocols, so many projects in this space that could function on their own without a token, but because it's crypto, people think, okay, there has to be a token associated with it, and uh, oftentimes that money, that wealth is siphoned out, and it goes to the VCs, or it goes to, like you said, A16Z, how much money they bring in. Imagine if all that value went back into the token ecosystem. And then you said that there are ways for people with very limited amount of money that can come in and trade their time for value and then have that value accrue more value over time. Can you give us, again, without revealing too much, can you give us a kind of an example of what you have envisioned, or an example that maybe doesn't have something exactly to do with Commonwealth, but that would give us a better idea of what you're talking about?
Yeah, so you know how, like, okay, so let me give you so the best projects in the space, the ones that everyone wants to invest into, like the Star Atlases and like the kind of, I guess, like, you could, I mean, Aptos is debatable right now, but like these layer ones and Solana and everyone that would sell their kidney to get into these deals. Um, these cap tables are, the investors that come into it are typically like the big tier one funds, and it's even hard sometimes for VCs like Master Ventures to get allocation into it, right? And then when we saw uh, the whole GameFi kind of explosion, all the good game projects started treating guilds the same caliber or class as a tier one, as your Alamedas or your Sequoias, or what FTXs or whatever. Because why? Because they had a particular value that they could bring to the game that VCs couldn't do, right? And so, you know those, so you can imagine that if there was value brought to the project from this group of people, that then there would be rewards for that value being given. And I guess that's the best way I can kind of give an example without telling exactly what Commonwealth will be doing.
Kyle, how can people get involved with you guys? Let's say that they like you, they like the work that you've done in the space, and maybe when you start to reveal more of the team members, they notice someone on the team that they like. And it seems like you're trying to create an ecosystem where everyone can get involved in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. There's going to be certain positions within the DAO that will be democratically voted upon. At first, they'll be delegated for a very good reason, but then eventually they will be those restrictions will be lifted, and then a democratic process will come involved to see if those people in those positions stay or not. Uh, and there will also be roles within the DAO that are strictly voted on based on how much effort someone from the community is putting into and how seriously they're taking it, and so they can get promoted and to certain jobs or some stuff like that. Um, and then this is completely on the decision making from all of the value that's being moved around in this ecosystem. Uh, the core contributing team who's founding in this and creating this idea, they will have zero power to influence how that money flows through the ecosystem, meaning that is 100% decided on by the people. It will be with in regards to the code base and things like that. That will be still controlled by the core team for some degree of time to make sure that it's functioning properly, and that if any updates need to be made, they can be made. But when it comes down to the actual assets within the ecosystem, from the very first dollar in, that will be out of the control of the core team. And so, of course, people will need to put their money where their mouth is, and do community research to make sure that they're making good decisions. Uh, and so these are all going to be incentivized. There's going to be a lot of gamification built with it as well. So, like, the more that people want to be involved, probably the more rewards that they'll get in certain ways. And there's all kinds of really cool stuff too, like the way like, I'll tell you what I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of these token economic models where they set aside 30 or 50% of the token supply for community rewards, and they just continue to inflate these things and dump things on the market, because it's really hard to offset that much new supply into the market. You just don't have the demand, and that ends up usually pushing the price much, much lower. And so we thought of really interesting mechanics within this thing to not have to have that happen. And so that's really cool, and everything is quite exciting. But of course, they like being one of these OG NFT holders, and in fact, this is also the mint right now is uncapped, meaning that people can buy as many as they want. And the way that you look at this is essentially a private sale of sorts, where this is kind of the first entry into it, and we've done everything in a very fair way that I think community will be very happy to see when these token economics are revealed. And I think everyone will look at it and say, this is a fair model, yeah.
The USDC that you guys are raising from the NFT mint, are you able to share with us in any capacity what that's going to be utilized for?
That'll be used for so it'll be used for operations. So it'll go into the community treasury. Even the royalties that are charged from OpenSea are also that's also not going back to the team. That's also going to community. So what if there are royalties that are accrued before the launch? This will be stored in some sort of vault, essentially, to inject into the protocol as soon as it goes live. So the entire raise, we haven't finalized the numbers yet, but essentially, it's the intention is to make sure that there's enough capital in stablecoin to survive, even the most brutal bear market with the most impressive team behind this thing, to where the DAO does not need to sell its own tokens in the market to make sure that it can pay for salaries and overhead. I also think that's really important to build a brand. And so, when some projects don't really raise much money, they bootstrap, you have to rely a lot on community marketing. And with Cult DAO, we saw it really, really strong at first. And people eventually, when they're not getting incentivized to do it or it's not enough incentive, they, after some time, end up kind of just fading away. And so, I'm a big believer in crypto projects, having a high marketing budget, especially if you want to appeal to the non-crypto natives, the Web2 community, the Robin Hooders out there. And that's something that Commonwealth was designed to do. It was designed to be friendly to, the average housewife who's never held a token in her life, to be able to come and use the protocol and still get value from it.
Right on. So, Kyle, a few more questions from me. Are these NFTs going to be tradable on OpenSea after the mint is over, or any other NFT marketplace?
I think you could. Yeah, I think they're on OpenSea right now, and I think you can trade them already, even though you wouldn't want to because the mint hasn't sold out yet. But yeah, it'll be tradable for sure. And I think also, just back to your last question, just so I make sure I answered it.
Sure.
All the funds that are raised will go into the treasury, and how that treasury will be used initially will be kind of set in place, transparently, but from the founding team, to make sure that for some degree of time, there's some degree of control in developing and taking to market. I think that's when it comes down to other people's money that are in Commonwealth, that those will be decided by voting mechanisms. But the funds that are raised will be used to really make sure that this thing has a really strong path to building a brand for itself and becoming a household name.
Kyle, I know that, again, a lot of this stuff is still under wraps, and for good reason. I tried to get all my questions in based on the information you gave us. I'm not sure if I missed anything, but is there any exciting stuff about Commonwealth, the ecosystem that you're building, that I haven't inquired about that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I guess without saying too much, there is going to be essentially a council of sorts, and these councils will act as initially I talked about minimizing risk as much as possible. Now, of course, in investing, there's always risk, and you should always be prepared to lose whatever you're investing. But we think that there are people that have track records of successfully investing that that might want to share the deals that they get with Commonwealth because it is in their best interest to do so after they've invested in these things because of the benefit that project will get from Commonwealth investing into the project. And so there will be a delegated council, and this is, these council members are unchosen. We have a few of them now, but mostly unchosen. We haven't got to that point yet. But they will all be highly educated, highly successful, veterans in the space that have track records of success. And that is nice because that's the only way that opportunities and proposals come into to Commonwealth is through the council. And so there's you're not going to get kind of like these. Yeah, it'll be filtered and somewhat vetted before the members of Commonwealth will have an opportunity to vote yay or nay on this.
Well, Kyle, I will say that since the beginning of this AMA, it looks to me like 6 have already been minted. So it sounds like folks are at least interested in giving it a chance and seeing what you build out. Audience members, if you are interested in the Commonwealth Genesis NFT mint, you can go to genesis.com-wealth.io. And there you can mint
right?
That is what I'm reading off.
Common. Let me see.
Common-wealth.
Yeah, common-wealth. Yeah, that's okay, for sure.
Yeah. So I'll read it out again. It's genesis.common-wealth.io. As Kyle said, you can currently mint as many as you want, and get excited for the ride that you're about to go on. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. Whale Coin Talk never gives financial advice. Everything you hear on this platform is for educational purposes only. Kyle Chase, anything you want to leave us with before you head off on your adventures in Bangkok?
I know this. Someone has a question. I'm happy to answer this. QWW, if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to ask a question. I don't know. Maybe they fell asleep or something. Yeah, that's it. As part of the, there, just to say this too, we never expected for this mint to be something that sold out in a day or two. I think that this is something that certain people will get really excited about. I will make a video about this tomorrow as well to let my community know. But we're okay with this taking time to mint out, and I actually better if it doesn't right away. That way, there's more distribution and more opportunities for people to get involved that maybe aren't watching crypto Twitter like a hawk or something. So, yeah, I think it's going as planned, and I just think that when we do reveal everything, people will be mind blown by what we've been working on for the past year.
Kyle, that leads me to another question. What are some ways that you guys are marketing and promoting this?
So a lot of it is going to be, so initially you'll start to see between now and the next mint, you'll start to see Medium articles come out that will be in the same type of kind of cryptic dialogue that I'm speaking in today, where I can't really tell you how things work, but it'll probably tell you maybe the problems that are going to be solved. And when it comes to the marketing aspect, we have some. So you will see. I can't actually say this right now because I don't know if our CMO has. If it's okay for me to say who he's leaving, but it's one of the top 10 blockchains, and will be advising on this. And this guy has made tons and tons of brands famous before, and he will be supporting on these really huge types of marketing opportunities. I like the idea of attempting to do Red Bull style marketing, where I know that's expensive, and the money that we raise initially probably won't be enough. But there will be value accrued through the mechanisms in the protocol that allow that to scale quite a bit. And then, of course, it would make sense that there's different sponsors that come involved and help do this thing too. So we have some of the best people in the world helping us that have brought some of the biggest companies in the world a lot of attention. And yeah, so I can say that maybe I don't have all the answers to that, but I do know that we have really strong people who have done this before, and that is what I'm excited about.
Right on. It all sounds pretty exciting, and I personally want to get involved. Captain Levi has a question. Captain Levi, go ahead and uncue your mic.
All right. Thanks, Noah. The Commonwealth project is quite nice. You've done quite a lot of definitions, but I just have one question. You already talked about how you'll be reaching out, and one of the ways people can actually get information about the project is through your website. I tried accessing the website now, but it just redirected me to connect to the wallet.
Yeah.
Is there any information you can actually drop about this?
No, there's no information at this point. Everything that we have is kept very very top secret right now. Like I'm not sure if you're here from the beginning, but we do believe that when we reveal the kind of the way the protocol works, people will be quick to try to copy paste this and do it as well. So we want to make sure that we kind of secure our spot as a first mover, and so we need to do this in a strategic way, and that's why the main reason why we're doing this stealth mode kind of approach, and the main reason why we are saving. We also know that we probably will have to tell people exactly what the protocol is before the second mint, and so the incentive to mint now versus the second mint is that it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. But the advantage of the second one is that you know exactly what you're buying and what it's used for, and how that looks, economically. I can just say that we've done a lot of work to make sure that that we believe it'll be very rewarding, without making any promises here. But yeah, so there is no information. This AMA right now was actually far more informative than we anticipated ever being up until the reveal.
Oh, wow. Well, first of its kind definitely needs to keep its assets top secret. I can actually agree with you on that. So, will I say, how will you be able to point out to people who want to know more about the project? Are you just simply going to redirect them to the AMAs that you've been held, like this kind of one that was held here? Because yes, you're actually right. I was having connection problems trying to get around connecting to this AMA until I got it fixed. So, would you be directing people that wish to know about the project to these AMAs?
I think that I don't, if you're there, we have an announcement channel on Telegram that will, from time to time, will give some notes and things like that, but they probably won't tell too much about the project itself, more just updates on timelines, or maybe if there's a Medium article that's been posted. But even the Medium articles won't really tell you what we're doing. They might just aim more at telling you, explaining more about the problems in which Commonwealth solves. So yeah, and I don't know how many more of these I will do. Noah asked me to come do this, and I thought it might be a good idea to give his community a bit more color than we're willing to do. It's in a written down format, and I'll also go and I'll do a video tomorrow on my channel that will be more well thought out and more crafted and careful on what I say. So I guess that you guys are probably on this AMA are probably getting the most detail I would expect to hear until the launch.
Sounds cool. Sounds cool. So first-hand information, from this AMA, and I guess I'm looking forward to reviewing the video. It's a wonderful one. Well, I really don't know much about it, but there's really much to be expected, since majority of the things are actually hidden. But I'm wishing you guys the very best, and I hope the Commonwealth NFT project goes bullish moonward. Over to you, Noah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Levi, and we certainly appreciate Kyle coming through and dropping this alpha on the community here. Crypto Earthling, I think you had a question, man.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Carl. Just a quick question. You said the next launch will be much more expensive. Well, you said this one is much cheaper, but that means the next one will be much more expensive. So why you choose that higher entry barrier? Because then you have to have a whole NFT. I think it's not fractionable to invest in the project.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that that you don't have to have one of these NFTs to have exposure to the project. There's going to be also an initial liquidity offering too, where we are able to actually source the liquidity for the exchanges that will not come from the USDC raised from the NFT mints, and so that'll be at a bit higher of a valuation, but yeah, I mean, it's just fair that like the earlier you are, the more risk you take, and so I would say that people today that are minting these NFTs are at the highest risk possible, and so they should deserve the most reward possible. But yeah, you will not have to. There will be 8,888 NFTs in total, and you will not have to have one of them to participate in the ecosystem. In fact, a lot of the benefits will come from acquiring the tokens and staking them. But of course, the way you access a significant amount of the supply is through the NFTs initially.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kyle. I think you've given us a lot, and I think the community appreciates it. I mean, it sounds exciting to me, and I looks to me like there are a lot of different ways to get involved. If there's anything else you want to leave us with, I know that you've probably revealed a bit too much, but if anything else you want to leave us with, go ahead and do so now.
Yeah, I just want to remind people that I've been in the space for 10 years and seen a lot of projects go to market, and I pay a lot of attention. And I would say that there are some things about this that are completely innovative that I haven't seen done in any other project ever. But a lot of this wasn't an original idea, but maybe the way that it's all implemented together is completely original. And so I would say that there's a lot of inspiration taken from other great projects out there. And of course, they will receive credit when we come out and reveal what we're doing. But the point is that I've been trying to think about something for a very long time that would appeal to everybody, because games don't appeal to everybody, and DeFi doesn't appeal to everybody. I don't really know what other kind of use cases there are in crypto so much, but like the fact is every single person in this industry wants to make money, and minimize their risk. So I've been trying to think of something for a very long time that would in that type of use case that just was able to achieve adoption at a mass scale. And we thought about, how does this scale to, tens of millions or billions of people eventually. And I think that we figured out, how that can be done. And so that's what I'm the most excited about, because since 2012, I've been anxious about, will cryptocurrency become adopted one day on a massive level. And I would say that Bitcoin is on its way, but it's still not there. And I do believe that that Commonwealth is an app that has that potential.
Beautifully put. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kyle Chase. That is the Commonwealth Genesis NFT launch. Again, if you want to go and get involved with this project, you would go to genesis.common-wealth.io. It's 500 USDC per mint. As Kyle mentioned, the second round of mints are going to be more expensive. So if you want a first mover's advantage, then go ahead and check it out. Remember, again, everything you hear, this is not financial advice. We provide educational content. We provide a platform and podium for you to learn about various protocols and solutions that are being built across the space. So always do your own research and invest only what you're willing to lose. Thank you so much, Kyle Chase, for joining us today. And thank you so much, WebCoin Talk community. My name is Noah,
Thanks.
signing out. Thank you.